Hello and welcome back to another episode of Dubbed TF as AuDHD with late diagnosed sisters Ellie and Paige. We were diagnosed late.
And we're here to educate.
Wow, you nailed it, Paige. Well done.
Thank you.
But your balls have dropped, have they?
Absolutely, they have. Yeah. I actually forgot what the line was for a second. The irony.
Hello, team. Welcome back. This week, as you can tell, that's clearly not Paige's voice.
No.
No, it's not Paige's voice. Paige is actually gallivanting around the bloody planet, having a grand old time. So for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be chatting to guests instead of Paige until she comes back. And our first guest is one of my favourite people in the world, not the favourite. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
That won't hurt.
No,
Yeah.
the love of my life, my best friend, my partner Sam. Hello, Sam.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be on this side.
Yes.
Because I always do the behind the scenes stuff and try and set up, but it's nice to be on the couch this time.
Yes. No, well, we're very lucky to have Sam here, just in general with the podcast, because you're an amazing filmmaker, video editor, photographer, you name it. So that's why our videos always look really, his head's growing as we speak. That's why our videos always look really lovely, and we've got great cameras thanks to you. But the reason we're chatting to Sam today is because, Sam, you're actually diagnosed ADHD and you were diagnosed late.
Very late, yeah.
And you're here to educate
am.
your point of view.
That's right.
So we're going to do a double stacker with you, Sammy. We're going to do this episode you're listening to right now is going to be all about Sam and his life and him growing up, how he got diagnosed, his journey with ADHD, blah, blah, blah. And then next week, we're going to actually have another episode with me and you, and we're going to chat about a relationship because we're two neurodivergent people having a relationship. Obviously, that comes with its battles because any relationship does. But we thought it might be helpful to people to hear how we navigate our idiosyncrasies together.
Not even that, but also not knowing that we're neurodivergent when we've got together and then going through that journey from the start to the finish.
Yeah.
And then to being here. It's quite a cool story.
Yeah, we both had no idea that we were neurodivergent when we met and when we got together, and we were actually really good friends for ages before we ever got together. We were like best friends. But we'll talk more about our relationship in the next episode. Today, we just want to focus on Sam because I think it's just another relatable story for people to hear a late diagnosed person, how they got diagnosed, what their childhood was like before diagnosis, how your life's been different since. So we've got Sam here. Sam is, how old are you, Sam?
I'm 30 years old.
Yeah, and you grew up in...
Grew up in Glenfields, just up the road. Fairly modest house, you know. Didn't have a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
We had enough, got through. I was jumping straight into it, are we? Straight into the bare bones.
Yeah, should we just start with who are you? Because people listening don't know who you are.
Fair play. Okay, well, let's just do that. I'm Sam. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me. Thank you for lending your ears to this episode. Grew up in Glenfield. I've got a twin sister, Haley, an older sister, Jess, and a loving mother and father. Split when I was 7, so I came up sort of from a fairly broken family, which had its own difficulties, obviously. It's hard. It's hard to give an elevator pitch about your
I know. Maybe
the start of your life.
I know. I'll give you questions then.
Okay.
So you were 30 years old, correct?
Yes.
And you were diagnosed when you were what, 26, 27?
Yeah, it's been a few years.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago. And so you grew up in Auckland, and you were kind of, as a kid, no one ever suspected you had ADHD. Did you ever hear those words when you were growing up? Yeah,
I'd always hear ADD. Like stop being so hyper and all of that. And I was always being told off in school. Yeah, constantly. And, no fault of my own parents. They didn't really know ADHD. And obviously ADHD is so new still. There's so much research that still needs to be done. But no one really ever suspected it. They just thought I was a pain in the ass. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah, so you kind of grew up kind of similar to my dad, who we spoke to a couple of weeks ago, where you were kind of loved by teachers, loved by adults, but at the same time, you were the cheeky one, making them laugh, but also disrupting the class.
Yeah, the amount of times that I'll be held back after class being like, you can't make me laugh during, school or when I'm teaching. You can't make me laugh. I have to set rules and boundaries. You keep making me laugh in class. Every time I need to be serious. I need to set an example for the other students. You can't keep making me laugh like this.
So you would actually get in trouble for making the teacher laugh?
Yeah, it was like a love-hate relationship where they hated that they loved me.
Yeah.
And sometimes, not all teachers, obviously. Some teachers like me more than others. But I felt like I could sort of get away with things a little bit in school because I could be a smart ass, and but I'll pander to it too.
Yeah.
So like they could easily just go to the dean's office. That was the easiest one for them, was to the dean's office. That way they just didn't have to deal with me or
Yeah, so what I'm getting here is that I'm marrying my dad.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah, pretty
Literally
much.
the same story.
Yeah. So that was the relationship that I had with my teachers and my parents. Oh, sorry, my teachers. It'll be a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
But I was so easily distracted. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I couldn't ever sit still. And I would always wonder why. Like, why am I the only one that just can't sit still like this? Everyone else in my class can sit here and listen.
Yeah.
Absorb. The data acquisition was so much higher for them than it was for me. I couldn't retain information ever. I couldn't for the life of me. A bird would fly past the window. I go, what bird was that?
Yeah.
Where did that go? Where are you going? Why are you sticking around?
Yeah.
It was just really infuriating.
Yeah.
Really infuriating.
So you had trouble focusing at school, trouble listening at school, cracking everyone up, but also distracting everyone. What did you put your energy into as a kid, like younger kid? Lunchtime. Relatable, yeah. Any sports?
Yeah, well, my dad got me into rugby really early. Mum and dad got me into it just to exert some sort of energy.
Yeah.
And so I played rugby then for 15 years. So I was on it for a long time, and it was a good way for me to release energy. But that wouldn't do anything really, because my energy is now being drained, but my neurodivergence is still there. So now I'm angry, and now I'm annoying because I'm tired.
Yeah.
And I'm still dopamine seeking.
Yeah, you're not actually satisfied.
Not satisfied.
You liked rugby, but it wasn't necessarily your passion. You didn't want to be an All Black or anything.
No.
It was just kind of like, I'm doing sport. So yeah, you're saying you'd get tired. And then what else did you do on the rugby field that really used to annoy your dad?
I would pirouette.
Was that like a stimming thing? Was that like you were just bored? You would just run and spin in the air like a ballerina?
Yeah, it was nearly like a habit. It was sort of like, but I would spin both ways. So I'd spin to the left and I would spin to the right. So everything needed to be equal. You know what I mean? Everything needed to be balanced.
Yeah.
And so if I were to spin fast one way, it would have to be just as fast on the other.
Yeah.
Which I found really interesting. But I didn't know anything about it. Parents didn't know what I was doing. They just thought I was pirouetting on the field for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no, I didn't want to be an All Black. But you know, when you're in something and you start an activity or you start a sport or whatever it may be, and you do want to become the best at it.
Yeah.
But you don't really want to you don't want to have to climb the ranks necessarily.
Yeah.
That's sort of where my mentality would stick. It would be like, let's jump on the field and, you know, I'll do all these drills, but I'm bored as shit from these drills. It's the last thing I want to be doing. But I want to be an All Black.
I relate to that so much. I'm the exact same. Like I would pick up a guitar and try and play it for 5 minutes and then be like, why am I not Taylor Swift yet? And it was like the impatience as an ADHDer is actually so intense because you've got high expectations of yourself. You're a perfectionist. And so you do want to be the best at what you do, but we don't have the motivation to put the work in that's needed to get to those high levels.
Totally, until you find your thing.
Exactly.
But also, if you can just turn your head 180 degrees and look at that piano that's been sitting there for however long.
Oh.
Exhibit A.
Literally.
This piano that's been sitting so gracefully and beautifully in the background of these podcasts has not been touched. And I mean, we've had it, for a couple of years now?
Yeah, and I used it for a bit. And then this is probably the fourth time I've tried to learn keyboard and piano. And I know, this is the thing, I know I'd be good at it. I have music running through my blood. My family is hugely musical. I've got the ear for it. But I cannot for the life of me sit down and get past that threshold of just needing to work a little bit hard. I just want to be able to play the piano like Elton John now.
I know. Why can't I just know what the notes are and then my brain just goes, oh yeah, that sounds like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And some people can. This is what is a frustrating thing for me, is that some people can do that.
Yeah.
But why can't I?
Yeah.
Some people just have that natural gift. Why can't I have all the gifts?
Yeah. No, same. Exactly. It's so frustrating. That's been one of my biggest gripes in my life, is that I've never got fluent in an instrument. I know that I could do it, but I just can't do it. That's not the right words to say, but I feel like I can't do it because I can't push through that threshold and I get bored easily. But you play the drums, don't you? So Sam's dad is an amazing drummer, and same time we got the keyboard, we got you drums finally, because Sam would be bloody making beats with his hands anywhere, anytime, in the car, on the kitchen bench, like just anytime. And so we got you drums, and that's actually been a really good thing as part of your ADHD. And it was kind of an accident that we found this kind of therapy for you. But Sam sometimes has a lot of pent up energy, don't you? And you can struggle. We'll get to this soon, but you can struggle with like your feelings and not knowing how to express or process them, and you can get quite frustrated. So getting a drum kit for you
It's been brilliant.
Been amazing. Because what does it do for you? Like,
well, it does a few things. So I'm massive. I love music. I'm a massive rock fan. I'm a massive jazz fan. I'm a massive just music fan. Full stop. And that's because of my dad's influence. Dad plays the drums. He's a left-handed drummer, and so when I was learning drums, I learned open-handed, and so I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the beat-making stuff, but I also found it really therapeutic for my brain. It was like a metronome in my life, sort of thing. That's nice.
That was beautiful,
Thank
actually.
you.
Damn.
Shit.
Nice.
Can we get that one tattooed? And so, yeah, so for me, it was just a really good outlet. Firstly, for exerting my energy. Sometimes if I'm angry or if I've got built up anger in some degree, going over and thrashing the drum kit was just the best medicine for me, just to release all that. And it's funny because I can play the drums, but I don't know the theory at all. Like the drums is a good one because you can pick it up, and if you have fairly good rhythm, then you should. If this, what this sound makes, and if it relates to that song, then you know how to put it into place.
Yeah.
And so that to me is really therapeutic. But then if I'm working and I'm just if I have creative block, for example, I'm straight on the drums. I'm just going to try and refresh. It's kind of like when you smell coffee beans as a
reset, palate reset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It does that for my brain.
Yeah.
And so I can get back to my computer and I can continue editing, and all of a sudden I've got a brand new, fresh perspective on everything.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
No, yeah, I've been really quite pleased with how much the drum kits helped you. And like, it was kind of like, we knew you wanted it, but it wasn't necessarily we're going to get this to treat your ADHD, but it's definitely, I think, been something that's been helpful to your ADHD.
Subliminally. We didn't know that it was going to be such a huge driving force. We got that kit before I was diagnosed, didn't I?
It was after, but when we got that kit, there was no connection. I wasn't let's get you a drum kit for, and then
I think it was more of a let's get a boxing bag so you can punch things.
Yeah, I think at times I wanted a boxing bag. Yeah, we'll get to that soon, actually. Don't worry, he hasn't hit me. That sounded really bad.
Yeah, hang on. We're going to have to reset.
Sam has never, ever hit me in his life. That sounded so bad.
You are the boxing bag.
Yeah, exactly. No, so how about, let's go back to your childhood and your teenagehood. So, and just then we'll get to your diagnosis, because people are probably wondering, how did you even get diagnosed? Well, I'm your girlfriend, so that's why.
Certainly helps. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, childhood, teenagehood, very similar to my dad. Didn't do badly at school, but didn't do well, right? Like,
I was like I was an achieved. If I got merit, then my God, we're going out for dinner that night, sort of thing. Definitely achieved, sort of.
And you were like well behaved. It's not like you were like wagging heaps and like going and smoking cigarettes behind the shed or anything, right? Like you weren't doing anything like that. No. You would still go to school.
Yeah.
But you were there, but you weren't mentally there.
I wasn't there really. Yeah. I wasn't learning per se. I was there to hang out with my friends. And like I said, morning school. The start of school, morning tea, lunch, and after school were my favorite times of the day. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like I look back at school and I regret not putting in as much effort, but it's not really that. I don't really regret. No, it's not. I don't regret that. It's more, I wish I had a diagnosis at school. Yeah. Because what Ritalin does to me now is a superpower. Yeah. I'm unstoppable. Like it's just unbelievable how much it's changed me. And we'll get into the diagnosis and the Ritalin later, but it's unbelievable. I just wish I had that at school.
Totally. And I also think it would have been helpful for you to just have the knowledge that you're ADHD at school, so you wouldn't be so hard on yourself and turn on yourself. Because I think one of Sam's biggest issues, and we'll get to it soon, is pent up anger in yourself and not knowing how to express your words. And I think had you known what that was when you were younger, you would have had less anger towards yourself because you would have just understood it better, right?
Big time.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll kind of childhood, you had your split marriage, which was rough for you. Little bit of, trauma sprinkled in here and there, like, most of us do. But yeah, the split family, I think, was tough for you. But then when you're a teenager, you started just throwing shit at the wall, right? And trying to do all sorts of different things because you've got your parents kind of saying, what are you going to do, Sam? What are you going to do? Which is the question I hated at school. I just hated that question because I was such a perfectionist and high achiever that when I didn't give I couldn't give an answer, I used to get so stressed. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I like this. And then I'd do this thing for 5 seconds and I'd try this thing. What was your experience like in your college years trying to find what you wanted to do when you were an adult? And then how did that then lead into a crazy little career you had very early on. We'll just go with that.
Yeah, I think I would always try and do something new. Like I'll get very bored over something really quickly. If I'd try drawing and then I'll do the outline. I'm like, no, I have to do all the shading and stuff. My God, can I not just do this part and then can I not just fill in the gaps?
Yeah.
And for my parents as well, my stepmom and my dad, I would always hear in the back of, I would always hear from them and it would always stick in the back of my mind, find something that you love, find your passion, find your passion, find your passion. And that was a good lesson for me to look at things that I actually enjoyed doing, and look at them a little bit differently. Don't just try and do something because either it's the new cool thing that people are doing or it's, but try and do something that you actually genuinely enjoy. And hearing that and having that in the back of my mind forever is actually probably one of the greatest bits of advice that I've ever received, because I did find it, and I'm so grateful for it. But I did try so many different things. I'd try snowboarding, and then I'd fall on my ass, and I'll go, that's too hard. I'll try skating. I tried BMXing. I tried all these extreme sports because the idea of being sponsored by Red Bull or Monster Energy or something like that was such a, so I've seen people my age doing it, and I was like, well, if they can do it, then why can't I?
Yeah, and you also, I will say, you were gifted at sports and stuff like that. You weren't bad. You're actually good at it, and I think that also becomes confusing when you try all these things, and you're kind of good at it, but you don't really enjoy it.
Yeah,
it gets so confusing because you're like, I'm good at it though. So should I just keep doing this? That's
totally.
My life to a T.
Yeah, 100%. That was one of the biggest things for me as well. And there'll be some things that I was really good at, like cricket. I was making top teams. I was elected for playing Harbour. Like my local representative team when I was, I don't actually remember how old I was, but I was never a batsman. I was never a bowler. I was actually quite bad at both, but the ability to throw my body on the line to get that ball on the field is what got me so far. And, there was a lot of potential there in me in my cricket career potentially, but I just didn't enjoy the whole day thing. I couldn't sit there and I wasn't passionate enough about the sport per se, but I enjoyed putting my body on the line and stopping a ball from that, reaching the boundary.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of elements that I was good at in specific things like that. But I just, for the life of me, couldn't work out what it was that I was doing. Little did I know in the back end, I had found my passion. I bought a camera so long ago, just on Trade Me. I saved up my pennies, and I liked the idea of photography and filmmaking and things. But never in my life did I think it was going to be a career. Never in my life did I think it was going to be even really not necessarily accepted from my dad or anything like that. But what career can you get from this is what I was thinking. To me, it was more of a hobby. And
remember back then, this is 15 years ago, say, cameras and video and social media wasn't really a thing.
No.
So it was a lot more further away to achieve. It felt very distant. It's like you have to be like a filmmaker. We didn't have TikTok. We didn't have all these video forums and platforms that we do now. So it's just important, I think, for people listening to remember the context that we were living in.
You're right. Yeah.
Because there was just way less opportunity back then.
That's 100% right. The idea of Weta workshops or something was so cool, but it was so distant.
Yeah.
And also I wasn't a movie nut. Now it's my industry and that's all I know. And everyone's like, who's your favorite director? And I'm like, it's documentarians more so. It's not even I can't say it's Steven Spielberg, or it's not, it's not Quentin Tarantino. And people are shocked by it. It's like, no, but I'm not a film buff. It's not my thing. I'm passionate documentarian, but that's another story soon. But so little did I know that was happening in the back end, and I was taking shots of people at the skate park, or I was taking photos of my friends when we were playing volleyball at the beach, or all these stuff, and I was actually developing the skill in the back end. Little did I know, and I would take a shot and I'll work out what the composition looked like and how can I make that shot look better. What is aperture? What is the ISO triangle? What does all this stuff mean? All of a sudden, I've worked out quite quickly that this is exactly it. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah,
this is my life. This is it. And so I started adopting the photography and video components, and I literally haven't looked back to this day.
Yeah, I find it so interesting how it was kind of just in the background. It was something that you didn't really pinpoint. You were looking everywhere but the thing you were already naturally doing. And I think that happens for a lot of people. It certainly happened for me. Like I've always liked talking and stuff, but I never thought to go and train in radio or podcasting. And now most of my career has been in talking and radioing and podcasting and doing acting that I was doing as a kid but never really thought would be a career. And then I've ended up on a YouTube channel. And it's funny how the things that are so obviously in your face, you don't think that could be the thing you could use.
100%. And there was so many things in my with video where I was like, there are so many roles that I'd love to play. I'd love to be an actor. I'd love to be an actor. I'd love to be a filmmaker. I'd love to just make feature films of just me.
Yeah.
If I can do this and play all the roles and all the parts, then how good is that? Then I can make my own perfect film.
Yeah.
And so it was something in the background, and the reason why I really didn't pursue a career in film was because the only options really were New York Film Academy. Because if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do half-ass. I'm not going to go in just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to a film school in New Zealand. I want to go to the film school in New York.
Yeah.
The New York Film Academy where, you have Spielberg come out of, and, you had these huge names come out of.
Yeah.
But it was so expensive. It was like $30,000 a semester. So I thought to myself, there's no way that I'm going to be able to ever make a thing out of this.
Yeah.
And so I just started doing it myself.
Yeah, this is a great story, and this is a really good. It leads very well into the next bit of your life. I think also just another bit of context is like back 15 years ago, I feel like the creative arts were like discouraged a lot. Like I was also kind of had the messages of like, oh, acting's not going to make me money unless you're in Hollywood. I also had those like creativity's not going to get you anywhere. And in hindsight, it really does get you lots of places. And I think people who are ADHD and autistic in particular are often very creative. And I think we get undercut by the voices in society telling us that our skills are not worthy because school doesn't even nurture them. Like there wasn't anything in school. There was media studies maybe at school you could do, but there was nothing really nurturing the skills that we've ended up pursuing in life. And the next bit of your life is very interesting. Like you say, you decided to just do it yourself. And I just want to preface again, remember this is 15 years ago. So we're talking like 2010, 2009, back when it was just Facebook had just started. There was no TikTok. There was Bebo wasn't existent anymore. MySpace was dying. Social media just was very much in its infancy. YouTube had just started. And you just decided to take things into your own hands because school wasn't really for you. And this is one part of Sam that I really admire because I think I was so sucked up all the time by the voices in my head and like trying to pursue what I thought I should. And I really admire the fact that you were just like, I'm just going to do what I want. And you even just defied like what your parents were saying. Like you kind of just in the end went, nah, I'm going to trust myself here and I'm just going to go and do it. So what did you end up doing when you were like 16?
I wanted to challenge the status quo, essentially. I was being told a lot from, especially my dad, you need to put the camera down, you need to get a real job. And fair, like you said, 15 years ago was such a different time. And I know my dad regrets saying that, and I don't want him to ever regret that because it was probably one of the best things that he could have ever done for me was to tell me to stop. Because if that's going to fuel me, that's going to fuel me up massively. And it was the fuel that went on the fire. And I'm so glad that he did. But it's also important to preface that I was also in a really horrible job. I was working in construction. I didn't have any skills. I left school with no skills, really.
So this is now when you're about 18?
Yes, sorry,
17,
right.
18?
Yeah, 17, 18.
You finished year 13?
Finished year 13,
yeah.
So I now was into the work field, right, into the workforce, and I had no skills, didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah, you didn't have like university, or did you have university entrance? But you didn't want to go to uni?
Yeah, well, I was accepted into Waikato University for business, right, and that was basically it. No one else was going to accept me. I didn't think I got into AUT, right? Yeah. It was like Waikato was so desperate.
Gosh, we might, yeah. I went to Waikato. Imagine if you went there and we met then.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Okay.
How funny would that have been?
Continue.
So, and so then I was like, oh man. Oh God, business, like, I enjoy it. My dad does business, like, yeah, sure, I can follow my dad's footsteps. Yeah, let's do it. And then I realized quite quickly, no, I don't want to do that. And so let me just get a job. I'm just going to labor. I'm going to work in construction, and maybe I'll just build a construction sort of career. Pardon the pun. And so I started my building apprenticeship, and I started my first year. And I realized so quickly, my God, this is not at all what I wanted to do. Like, I'm up at 5:30
so
in the middle of winter, getting sick because I'm taking, it's just yeah, it wasn't it. It was
No,
not it.
and you're very creative, like in a different way. I
Yeah.
don't think building was for you.
Definitely. So I left that quite quickly. I was like, nah, I'm gonna jump around jobs. I think I went to a recruitment agency and just got really mundane, horrible jobs just to pay the bills. And then I ended up making videos myself. I was very performative, always really performative. And now that I look back on it, this was my version of masking, because I would start making these videos, skit videos that I would think my friends would like and laugh at. And I started making just skit videos that were related to school or were related to me in some capacity, an outlet for me to express my frustration about something in a comedic medium, to do it in a funny way. And little did I know, these were incredibly relatable, turns out.
Yeah.
A lot of people saw them and resonated with them. So I started uploading them to Facebook, and I called it Sam's Life, and made sense because it was all about Sam in my life, and I had multiple sort of characters. Yeah, I had like different personas.
There was Samantha. There was the female character you played.
Yeah, there was Samantha. There was Samuel, who was my father, and Samuel was Samuel because my full name's obviously Samuel, but I was only ever called Samuel when I was in trouble. So a stern figure was going to be Samuel. Yep. And then there was Sammy, who was a shy sort of like timid kind of person, and there was just Sam, just me. So I just started making these silly videos and skip videos, and then it just took off. It was incredible, and that was really the start of a new dawn for me.
Yeah, totally. It was back when Facebook was new, and only really very few creators went viral on Facebook. It wasn't really a thing. There was, in New Zealand, we had Jamie's World, and then we had Sam's Life, and there were a few other creators back in that era.
Australasia, there was maybe about 5 or 6 people doing it.
Yeah, but it was very rare. And so, yeah, Sam actually became very, what would we say, like Facebook famous, I guess you would say, back in that era. And you had thousands of fans. How many views did you get back in that time?
So, well, throughout my career, so I probably did Sam's Life for...
probably 4 years, maybe?
Yeah, maybe 5 or 6, maybe a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
So I accumulated about 250,000 people following me across all social media platforms.
Which at the time was massive. We have to remember now with TikTok, that doesn't sound like a lot, but back in that era, it was a lot. It was amazing.
I think I asked ChatGPT if it would convert the numbers back then to what they are now. It was within the millions. Like it was crazy. And then, so after my career was about 250,000 people, I accumulated 500 million video views. And then my reach all up was just shy of 1 billion.
Yeah.
And so that to me was crazy. That when I started seeing Sam's Life take off in the early stages, I probably got my 50,000th follower, maybe a year after I started. And so that all happened really quickly.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden I'm now going, this is it. This is the business model. This does not yet exist. But one view is 1 cent to me. Not.
But that's how it felt.
That's how it felt.
Yeah.
To me now, a view is currency. I can monetize this.
Yeah.
How do I do this? How do I push for it? And so that's when the business side started coming into play, and that's how I was able to then write these pitch decks, these briefs, and I would send them out to companies that I wanted to work with. Or if there was a product that I wanted, like a little hoverboard, then I'd reach out to a company and then we'll partner together and we'll make videos together. And then I ended up working with Top Deck, and they'll send me over to Europe, and I'll do a takeover of their social accounts with me and my best mate, and we're just living it. It was just the most incredible life. Like
crazy. And you're only like 21 at this point,
yeah,
too.
Totally. And like, I'm young, I'm single, I'm over in Europe, and I'm like, how is this happening?
I know.
Like after making some silly videos. And then in order to get there, I was like, well, I need some spending money too when I'm there. And so I just reached out and said, if I added an extra video, would you give? Oh yeah, how much do you want? It's like, what? It's like this thing is new for businesses too.
Yeah.
But they they know how much it costs per click is.
Yeah.
So that one view, if I can push to my market, then all of a sudden they're just seeing dollar signs themselves, so they're going to spend the money.
Totally.
And so I picked that up really, really quickly, and then we got to work with Uber, and then we got to work with just
it just spiraled in a snowballed in a really, really good way. And I think it was so new at the time. You've always been entrepreneurial in your spirit. Like, for example, when you were at school, Sam used to, what'd you do? You went to the dairy and what?
So in intermediate, I'm just so genius for this. Don't encourage it, but or I kind of do. I would go at lunchtime, or maybe I'd wag a period at school. It's probably that one more. So, but I have an order for people. So I'd go down to the dairy at either just the period before lunch or maybe after, and I would get whatever people wanted me to get. Right. So I'd get mainly lolly bags. So for a $2 lolly bag, I'd charge them $3. An extra $1.
33% markup.
It's huge.
That's massive.
But would you pay an extra $1? Would you pay $1 to not have to do the legwork?
Exactly.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I'm profiting 33% off everyone's lolly bags, and I'm saving up as much as I can. It was genius.
It's genius. So that I just wanted to bring that example in because that's another example of you being very entrepreneurial, very dopamine seeking. You're very dopamine seeking in your nature, like Paige and Dad are, not so much like me. And so you kind of found this thing with Sam's life, and you just ran with it. And the dopamine, the more views you got, the more dopamine you got, the more motivation you got. It was like you were unstoppable.
It was
at
a
that point.
drug.
Yeah, it was.
It was a drug, and I wasn't medicated or anything. I didn't know I had ADHD. All I knew is that I was able to make these videos and these skits or these characters that I could relate to, because they were different personas of myself.
Yeah.
And each persona that would come out would resonate to a different audience.
Yeah.
And so I found myself growing quite quickly because of that. And then so I had the best career doing it. I had so much fun.
Yeah. Do you think it was also when you say you're masking in these characters, do you think that was actually subtly a coping mechanism for even just like underlying mental health and self-esteem or anything?
Yeah, I think it was, because I felt without me explicitly saying what was wrong, I was able to perform it on camera.
Yeah.
And so I was able to then read the comments, and that was nearly my therapy. I was reading these comments of people's relatability to the character.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, this is how I felt the other day. And I was like, oh shit, okay, so I'm actually starting to reach people here
and help people.
And it's quite a good feeling.
Yeah.
There was during that time when you're that young, there's a lot of people that think you're in it for the ego.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure, you are partly. Like this is such a feel. I'm feeling great from this.
Totally.
But it wasn't an egotistical thing that I was doing it for.
No.
And I had a lot of that sort of smack as well from people. But not a lot. Like it was it was actually quite nice. I had an opposite sort of experience to what a lot of people online feel today.
Yeah.
It was very positive when I was doing Sam's life. It was I had a lot of support. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But it quickly, after the 4, 5 or 6 years that I was doing it, social media became
oversaturated,
huge. And so all of a sudden now everyone, I was in there before the influencer word was being thrown around.
You were.
And so I got out of there before the influencer word became stuck, because I didn't
wasn't what you were there for.
No, I wasn't in there to be an influencer. I didn't want to I was at the very beginning of it all before it turned really commercial, and I know I was part of that because I was the one that was reaching out to brands. But I did it in a really creative and clever way.
Yeah.
But I couldn't also be bothered. I had such a large piece of the pie that I didn't want to cut my piece any shorter or any thinner.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to compete because I had so much of the market anyway.
Yeah.
And so it was better that I just went down, go down a different route. Let's start actually reading let's start reading books now about film and video and color theory, and start to become a bit more of a self-driven director and film producer, sort of when I took that turn.
Yeah, you must have been I reckon 24, 25 at this point, and this is when we were friends.
Yeah. And
I admired you for this, because you had just basically, if you think about it, that dopamine you just have for 4 or 5 years of attention on you and likes and comments and views and stuff, that's a drug, like you say. It's especially a drug if you've got ADHD and you're chasing that. So there had to be a bit of a drop first where you just you stopped, and then you kind of had to find your feet again, which I think was a hard time for you, because you were so young when you basically got that feeling of fame and dopamine and success that it was really tough for you to kind of reassociate where you fit, but you did the right thing. You basically went, I'm going to go behind the camera now. And this led to another insane career of just going and getting it, trying things, saying yes to things. I always admire your strength and tenacity to just go and try things. You're very brave. And even though you're brave as, I would say you still, like every other ADHDer, have huge imposter syndrome. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
But also imposter syndrome, I try and not see it as a weakness. I try and see imposter syndrome as my fuel to become a better filmmaker.
Nice.
And a better person. I sort of have a different outlook on things a little bit. I hype myself up.
Yeah.
So yes, I have imposter syndrome, but I also know my worth and my ability.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also important to note that during all that time, the transition, but before I got into where I'm at now, because I was still trying to find a decent job, I had my dad in my ear going, you need to find something that's, actually going to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And so the best way with someone that doesn't have any skills is to go into the military. And so I was training and I was accepted into the Navy and the Army.
Mm-hmm.
And I was literally, I think, I was accepted and then I had a month to decide what was going to happen. Am I going to go down to Wairau to do basic training for 6 months or whatever? And I think I got a week out before I was packing my bags. And that's when Sam's Life actually took off. It was just then. It was just before I left down to the army. So
it's funny how things happen like that.
It was so fortuitous. And then I had to say to Dad, look, I'm going to take a punt on this one.
Trust me.
I can get into the army again. I've passed the flying colours. I can get this.
Yeah.
Just believe that I can do this. And so that's when I jumped into Sam's Life. And then, then, anyway, so then the imposter syndrome kicked in and blah, blah, blah. I ended up then leaving and I wanted to get into the industry in some capacity, and I knew that I had leverage with Sam's Life. And so what better way to do it than jump into one of the two big corporations of MediaWorks or NZME.
Those are the big media companies in New Zealand. Yeah.
And so I ended up reaching out to NZME first and said, do you guys need any assistance with cameras, anything that I can do to assist? And then I got a reply back saying, hey, we're actually about to do a massive studio refresh. I'll let you know. But yeah, don't hold your breath. And I said, no worries. Look, even if I can come in, I sent the email of I'll come in and clean the cupboards for free. I'll do all that. Just get me a foot in the door. I don't have skills. So get me in and then I'll build on that.
Yeah.
So I got into NZME and then I was offered a role as the production coordinator with sort of the video department.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I didn't have any skills in that department, so I was kind of just fluking it. And yeah, I'm so glad. They then gave me a show when I was in there.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for a couple of years and I was given a show called Sam's Mischievous Life,
Mm-hmm.
which was really fun. And I was basically just running around jumping on New Zealand celebrities' backs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a bit of a prank show and walking into live radio and just,
Yeah.
just bombing shows. And it was a really, really fun time. I really enjoyed it. And it's obviously when you and I met, but that's for another
That's the next
conversation.
podcast.
So then, so I guess I was there for what, 2 years?
2 or 3 years, yeah, maybe? Yeah.
And then during all that time of me sort of stopping Sam's Life, my best mate then moved to California. And Liam was there. He was sort of my, he understood what I was going through because he, at the same time, was making waves in his industry. Like he was also in the media limelight and presenting and all that jazz. And so we were both building each other up together. And then he went overseas. And so I was like, man, who do I make content with? What do I do now? Like, this is, I'm gonna have to find someone else to make content with.
Yeah. So then you basically just, you ended up, you've had an amazing career since then, but you've got your own business.
Mm-hmm.
You've worked with some insane people around the world, videoing top politicians. You've done a lot. You've been to Africa. You've done so much. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks.
And we now have a business called Stage 2 Media that we run together. And basically, we both work from home and we've kind of finally been able to create that life that we wanted. But all amongst this, Sam was completely undiagnosed up until 4 years ago. And I, again, like I say, admire you for getting this far. But I think one thing about you is even though you had the imposter syndrome, you've got a really good mindset of like belief in yourself and pumping yourself up and just taking the opportunities and asking for things because you don't get them if you don't ask. There's so many times where Sam's just gone and asked for something. I'm like, wow, that was brave. And then they say yes. I admire that in you as well. And like, look, we do acknowledge that Sam is a, straight, white, cis male. Like, you do know your privilege.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. But then at the same time, you're still, I would say, half stereotypical ADHD, and even you didn't get picked up.
No.
So even people like you, who we would argue that ADHD criteria is made for, still didn't get picked up.
No.
The system's been broken for so long and hasn't been picked up at all. So I guess let's get to your diagnosis, because basically what happened was I got diagnosed, Sam and I are together by this point, and I kind of always suspected I loved you because you were so quirky and buzzy and funny. And then when I got diagnosed with ADHD, it was sort of like, it was just this moment where I went, hang on, if I'm ADHD, then this guy here has to be like definitely ADHD. So eventually we chatted about it, and you were kind of like, oh yeah, that'd be right. So you went and got tested like I did with the same psychiatrist. And what do you know, I'll never forget, you came out of the appointment after the 350 questions you have to ask, and I just saw you get in the car. And I remember seeing such a lightness to you that I'd never seen before. I saw this weight actually come off your shoulders. And so how did you feel that day you got that diagnosis of ADHD? What did you feel?
I think you were seeing the weight coming off my shoulders slowly, because there was so much to unpack. A sense of relief.
Yeah.
A sense of understanding, I think, was the biggest one for me. Like, I just had more understanding of myself.
Yeah.
I cared less as well.
Yeah.
I cared less about everything. I cared more for me.
Yeah.
And I accepted myself a lot more.
Yeah.
Like, not that I'd never accepted myself. I've always loved myself. I've always been, to me, it's been very important to love yourself first. If you're going to want to love anything else, you need to love yourself first.
Yeah.
And so, I found it difficult to love myself before that, though, because I was like, why am I so up in arms? And why, I would get angry and I'll punch a wall. Like, I'll get angry, and we'll talk about that too, because I think that was a huge contributing factor. But when I had that, it was just the biggest relief for me.
Yeah. I could see you have really strong justice sensitivity too, which you didn't really know what it was until that appointment, and they explained it to you. And you came out and went, oh, that's why I care so much about things. That's why I get so wound up when there's an injustice that happens.
Yeah, when someone doesn't indicate left at an intersection, and I am, who are you? Like, why are you better than me? Yeah. You know what I mean? Who do you, I'm letting the person behind me know that I'm turning left here, but you didn't have the decency to tell me that you're turning left? You're a bastard.
Yeah, yeah. So exactly, like, you get wound up like that. You still do to this day, and so do I. But at least we now know, like, oh, that's why I get so wound up like that.
I know.
But yeah, all I saw was relief and self-respect, and seeing your journey since diagnosis has been amazing. And I actually think because your journey post-diagnosis has pretty much been during our relationship, I reckon we chat more about the post-diagnosis journey next week, in next week's episode, when we talk about like our relationship, how we navigate our little idiosyncrasies, and we can talk more about your life post-diagnosis, because I think that kind of ties in with like our relationship. But it also, one thing I noticed is that Sam has always struggled with emotional regulation in some ways, of like not knowing how to process thoughts and emotions. And I think you're not diagnosed dyslexic, but you suspect you might be, because you do struggle to sort of write or say your words sometimes. And it would turn into, if there was too much emotion built up, Sam may punch a wall or let that out. And I will say, since diagnosis, I reckon that decreased massively. Yeah. Like, just by like self-love kind of, and understanding why the emotions are there. Whereas before, I think you used to get so wound up and angry at yourself that you just lash at whatever physical thing was close to you. But that's decreased massively since diagnosis.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's just because you have more awareness and self-love within you?
Yeah, I think so. I think I had, the justice sensitivity thing was a big one for me. And also, I've always known that I've been dyslexic, I've always known that, but I've never been, like, I'd never really passed English properly.
Yeah.
How did no one pick this up?
Yeah.
Why are we not sitting there going, oh, Sam is dyslexic?
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That one I thought would have been picked up pretty easily, but what was the question?
Yeah, the question is, do you think that your ability to regulate your emotions or just understand them better was because you got diagnosed and just understood why it was
right.
happening.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It was also being medicated, I think. Having medication and then knowing actually where my brain's full capacity is at, my full potential is. When I'm not medicated and I'm feeling a certain way, I'll go, okay, I understand now. Because I felt myself at my best.
Yeah.
I felt myself in the same situation being medicated. I know how I react when I'm medicated compared to not being medicated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, was a bit of a juxtaposition for me. But also, I had a lot more understanding of myself. I then started implementing things to help regulate my anger and all that stuff, like
What's
the drums.
some examples? Drums?
Would even just be just little things like just taking a 10-second look out the window.
Yeah.
I know it sounds really silly, but
No, but before that though, you don't know why you're so angry, so you don't even know that looking out the window is going to help you.
no.
You just kind of think, I'm just annoyed, I can't think. But it's funny, as soon as you got that piece of knowledge as to why you might be angry, you can then regulate it.
If I see this, my anger is a little bubble that sits around me, I just need to just get out of that bubble. Bubble needs to be popped. Just walk out. The second that you put some pressure on that bubble, it's going to pop. So standing at that window for 10 seconds, the bubble pops. I sit back down at my desk and I can continue working like normal.
Nice.
And that's sort of how I've helped, I've regulated it. But I'm still learning, I don't remember the last time I punched the wall.
No, neither do I.
Like a long time ago, I'll genuinely put holes in the wall, and it wouldn't be at anyone. I'm not targeting this at anyone.
No.
I wouldn't hit anyone. I've never, done that. I've maybe been in a couple of fights in high school, but that was it.
No,
I'll never, ever go and, and I'd always break my own stuff. I'll never go break anyone else's. Unless it was my parents' house, then sorry, but it was my room. And then I'll put a hole in the wall and I'll plaster a poster over it just to hide it. And then I'll go to move out and there's a bunch of holes in the wall. But,
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, I think that's really relatable. I think there's probably a lot of people listening who have struggled with their anger, who are undiagnosed ADHD or ADHD. I think it's a really common thing, especially in men, I will say, because I think women are encouraged more in society to talk about their feelings. Men are not. And I think a lot of undiagnosed ADHDers who are men struggle with outbursts of anger because that's all they know sometimes, every emotion just turns into anger. And it's amazing once you have the knowledge on how you can kind of regulate yourself a little bit better. We need to wrap this episode up now just because I know I'm having so much fun. No,
I love talking about myself.
No, I'm actually having a really good chat here, and next week we'll go more into you still because I feel like we haven't quite scratched the full surface yet, and I want to talk about our relationship because I think that'll help people. But before we wrap this episode, thank you for being so vulnerable. We'll touch more on the sort of regulation stuff next week and the anger stuff, but hopefully that's just helped people listening maybe feel a little bit less alone, that like it's okay. And the other thing I'll say is Sam is such a good masker. I feel like people who are listening to this that know Sam may be surprised to hear that he has battled with his anger in the past, because anyone who you know would think you are the most outgoing, fun person. Like your masking is insane, and I think that's why we bonded as well. I think that's another thing we can talk about is how we're both maskers heavily. But before we wrap this episode, is there just one bit of advice you would give people, or is there something you've implemented in your life that you think helps you that might help others?
I think going back to the passion thing, I think it's really hard for an ADHD to really find something that they love doing. I think if you're an ADHD person, there's a lot of things that you like, and you're not really too sure about where you might want to put all your energy. But I think if there is a passion that you have, stick to it and like challenge the status quo. If this is something that you love to do, then go and make something of yourself. Like just get out there and do something. Start with something. And it's really hard to know what that is and where to start. But if I can do it, then anyone can do it. Like I think that would be it. Don't listen to any external voices. If there's something that you love and you know deep down that you love it, run with it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I think that would be the biggest one, because that for me, if I never made that leap into this industry, I probably would be in the army now and just be a grunt still and I'll be trying to work my way up in the army and I wouldn't be happy about it. I think another piece of advice would be, for me, routine is really difficult. As an ADHD, like waking up in the morning, if there's something that's on my mind, I need to get that done now. Routine is really important. And I don't like to routine my entire day.
No.
But just as long as the start of my day is the exact same as every morning, then the rest will follow and the rest will fall into place. So
Nice.
what I do when I wake up is I make sure the first thing that I do is go down and I have a big glass of water to kickstart my brain, just to get into it. And that's literally all I do.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Because if as long as I can hold myself accountable to that one task at the start of the day, then the rest will fall into place.
Great advice.
That's it.
It's so simple, but it actually is such a good piece of advice.
The idea of a calendar, everyone said you need to use a calendar and try and put as much into a calendar as possible. That was, echoing from my dad. I would try that, and my God, I would then just try and live every hour, and then I'd go over this one, and I would just lose
it's just
the
overwhelming.
plot. I'd lose the plot.
Yeah.
Now I focus on that one task in the morning.
Yeah.
Because that's my routine.
Yeah, great advice. I think that's so important. I think as ADHDers, sometimes it's better just to do the one thing first, because once you do the one thing, then the second thing follows and the third thing follows. I think we get really overwhelmed in our heads going, we've got all this to do, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, and then we don't do anything at all.
Yeah.
So I think you're right, like just having that glass of water, for example, making the action of walking downstairs, having the glass of water, standing there for 10 seconds can actually kickstart your day so well.
Big time.
Yeah. Thank you, Sammy, for coming on today and being really vulnerable. We'll chat to Sam next week, and this time in the next episode, we'll talk more about our relationship, how we've navigated it, issues that we've had and how we kind of go through them, the fun things we've done, and we'll talk a bit more about like you again and anything we may have missed in this episode. Let us know if you have any questions for Sam as well on our Reddit. You can join that. It's in our link tree. We've got a private Reddit called WTF's AuDHD podcast, and we just hang out with people and we just chat, and it's really lovely. So come hang and let us know if you've got any more questions or things you want to hear about Sam.
Yeah.
Thank
also,
you.
my door's open too if anyone ever has anything to talk about. I know that's probably go here first, but also if you're in the industry of video production, content creation or anything and you're struggling, then sing out. I can talk about it for hours.
Nice. Thanks, Sammy. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next week for another episode with Sammy Morgan. Yeah!
Woo! Yeah!
Bye!
Bye-bye.